We are introducing an interesting Zoom conversation on the arts and climate change. It will be this Friday at noon, and we will share the link to the conversation with you. Right now, we have two of the speakers with us, Susan Quaitman and Les Bartlett. I'm sorry, Les.
Okay.
Susan Quaitman and Les Bartlett. Hi, you guys.
Hello, we're fine.
And we would like you to discuss how artists inform, inspire, and awaken our community to address climate change. And you guys are collaborating in your artwork. So could you talk about how your collaborations represent this intersection of art and climate change?
Why don't you start, Susan?
Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So we have been doing this work for the past 7 years. And I was originally impelled to do it because as a silk painter of 3 years, I no longer, and as an environmental planner of 20 years, I didn't want to just be designing pretty scarves. I wanted to do something cogent with science and the climate, which I thought was a really important issue. And started working with Les on these issues in 2013. We collaborate in that I paint the silk paintings of different issues of climate change. We bring in scientists from nonprofit environmental organizations, and Les does the photography, and he helps design the public art displays. And he's a wonderful graphic designer as well, so he brings a marvelous eye to this. So we're sort of yin and yang in this collaboration.
So it sounds like these are events you're creating. Is that right?
Yes, Les, why don't you talk about that?
So over the course of these 7 years, we've done a number of events that are art set as public art in public places. Okay, indoors and outdoors, where either the people living there or visitors have the chance to pause and, like with any public art, reflect on how it fits the environment, how it fits the theme. And I think one of the exciting things for the two of us has been this collaboration where the issues of climate change, which are global, and local, have resulted in our producing art which becomes mobile. We've produced numbers of pieces of art that have been in one locale in Cape Ann, moved off Cape Ann, gone to a number of places that, without people knowing they're from Cape Ann, think they belong in the space that they're located. This will be one of the things they're going to be reflecting on as to how our different viewpoints and different mediums of silk painting and photography merge into a form of art that really intrigues, invites, inform, inspire, and awaken, particularly focusing toward the young.
And what sorts of settings have these been in, Les and Susan?
Well, go ahead, Susan.
Okay. The settings have been at nonprofit organizations. We did an exhibit on climate change and the Great Marsh, and the setting was at the Cox Reservation of the Essex County Greenbelt Association in Essex, actually looking at the marsh, and at the Crane Estate Art Show, again, looking at the marshes and the seascapes. We've been at Clomola Quarry. We were part of Quarry Dance 5 in Lanesville. We've been at the Lanesville Community Center, and we'll shortly be at the Parker River National Wildlife Refuge.
One of the things we've discovered, Heather and Corey, is that with public art, we design to the space. We go to visit the space ahead of time. We look at it, and inevitably we designed an exhibit only to find the rug being pulled out or the space being changed because for whatever the reasons. So the very first large exhibit we did was on the National Park Service in Salem at the Visitor Center. And we ended up actually designing an exhibit that occupied 540 square feet, which was quite exciting. But we're finding all the way through, time after time, the location stays, but the stage changes.
I wanted to add that each exhibit is informed by science. For example, the one in Salem at the National Park Service, the Salem Maritime National Historic Site, was on climate change and the National Park Service. So we worked very closely with climate scientists who maybe don't exist anymore at the National Park Service, but they certainly existed then, on identifying the different issues that were affecting the parks in the National Park Service. And right now we're working with Woods Hole Ecosystem Center and the Parker River National Wildlife Refuge scientists. And this informs our art at every level.
What do you remember what some of the examples of climate change affecting national parks were? What points they brought up?
Yes. Well, in Salem, of course, it's sea level rise and storm surge. And already there have been enormous floodings at different tides in Salem. In other parks, it's drought. We looked at the Joshua Tree National Park, where the Joshua trees are actually dying as a result of drought. In other cases, it's fire. Intense fires have decimated a lot of the parks. And of course, intense heat is having an enormous effect on Glacier Bay National Park. So it's all sobering.
One of the sequences that has been very powerful that have come forth was Susan started a series of drowning. So we did drowning icons. It was drowning motif number 1, drowning the fisherman at the wheel along the boulevard, drowning Arthur Fiedler. It's when the icons start to get affected that people's attention starts to become captivated. And with this,
drowning was as a result of sea level rise.
Yeah.
Right. Corey, do you have questions?
Well, so what can folks expect from this Zoom conversation? Is it meant to be a public event? Are you planning on doing more of these? And how can folks get involved?
Well, this is the first, we should mention, this is through the Gloucester Cultural Initiative and the Sawyer Free Library. What we're talking to now, we were going to be doing in March, and obviously at the library is a live event that changed. It's to take our reflection on, we've been together as SQ and LB Artist Collaboration for 7 years. That represents 14 years of waking up daily and thinking about the project and thinking about these questions. It is not so much a takeaway for the audience as it a way, it's an invitation for so many of the artists on Cape Ann that are producing wonderful individual work to perhaps change their stance, to change their vocabulary, to find a way by looking at what we're reflecting upon, that where they can produce their own urgent art to the task at hand.
There's another part of it as well. I'm part of the Cape Ann Climate Coalition, and we have a climate arts part of the coalition. So it's to encourage artists who are interested in doing work on the climate change to join the coalition and perhaps join the climate arts group. We're hoping to have a climate festival November 28th. At this point, we can't say whether that'll be online or whether it'll be live. It's very hard to say. But we want to encourage artists on Cape Ann and in other places to look at the issues of climate change and see how they can use their very unique perspective, their own eyes, in making art that'll help awaken people.
So we will include the link to the RSVP in our copy. But how can people find that poster where the link exists otherwise?
Well, they can find it on the Gloucester Cultural Initiative Facebook page. They can find it on our web pages. It's going to be on Rocky Neck Cultural Center, and I think it's been posted in the Boston Calendar.
I have it on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
It's there. Yeah, people can go there.
So people will RSVP and then they receive a Zoom link. Is that how that works?
Yes.
Yes, they'll receive an email for a Zoom link. Yes.
Great. And are you anticipating questions maybe on Facebook or questions in advance from the community?
There will be questions. There'll be time for questions. It's about a 25-minute presentation, and we have a moderator, Mary Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
Marvelous.
Great.
And she will be sort of fielding the questions at the end.
So people can type in on Facebook the questions? Is that?
No, on chat in Zoom.
Oh, right, that's true. Okay, great. Well, anything else you want people to know about your talk on Friday?
Hope you'll tune in.
I would add that we're focusing on the theme of inform, inspire, awaken. And the awaken part very much deals with whatever we do and how wonderful it is. How does it reach the children and the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren?
Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today, and we look forward to that talk.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Heather.
Great seeing you. Be well.
Bye-bye.